We are live. Well, welcome everyone. Still with the candidates this week. We're back at Grantsville City Council territory tonight. We've got Jolene Jenkins in, and we're going to have her tell us about her motivation to run, tell us a little bit about herself. Uh, we're excited. I think everyone's probably excited. So,
Well,
Jolene.
you guys, I am excited, and I brought like a little thing. So this is from the Grantsville Gazette, from 1987. Apparently, in third grade, I was already campaigning. But there was like a little writing contest on great places to visit in Utah, and I chose
Uh-huh.
Grantsville because
Uh-huh.
I just love my hometown, and I just wanted to share like at the very end I wrote, oops. In Grantsville, we have celebrations together. We have good schools that are enjoyable. All of Grantsville tries not to litter. All of Grantsville wants to be friends with you. And that's kind of why I'm running because, when I was growing up in Grantsville, there were about 4,000 people. And now there's over 12,000. But I think those things stay the same. We're a safe community, we're a friendly community. And, I've got my kids that I'm raising here, and I want them to have those same experiences.
How many
And
kids do you have?
I have four kids. The oldest is 11, the youngest is 7.
Really?
So,
So you're invested.
yes, I'm invested and I'm here for the long run. So, but yeah, I want them to, have those same things that I had growing up.
Good. Good. I like it.
Awesome.
I like it. So you're motivated to run to keep Grantsville the awesome place it is.
Yes.
I
And
like
okay, so let's ask this because you grew up in Grantsville.
I did.
What's something that you love about Grantsville?
Um,
Putting you on the spot.
well, that's where all my family is.
Yeah, family. Family's important,
That's
definitely.
that's a big thing for me. I like Grantsville. It's a nice small hometown, a lot of outdoor stuff. It was, pretty good childhood down there. I don't know if now reflects exactly the childhood I had, but it was a whole different time back then.
Yeah. Well, and it's not going to be exactly the same, right? Like we're growing. We're
Yeah,
we're going to change, and sorry, talking to the
you're
microphone.
good. Yeah.
But
Hopefully
you know,
not too fast.
well, and
Hopefully not.
like here's my question for you, David. Like, so you've moved into Tooele County, right? How long have you been here?
He's from a foreign country.
I've been here since 2008. I think that qualifies me for a passport.
Well, so what do you love about it? Because I mean, we're all, Tooele County, we're all community.
Well, in comparison to city life, it's safe. I mean, you're not going to have riots in the street.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of regulate ourselves in our own way. We know our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel more comfortable in that environment. That is what I grew up with. I'm not too fond of all the crazy events that have been going on in the cities with this tumultuous political environment we have. So let's just say I feel more secure and fortified in this area than I do in some sort of a city environment.
Right. And I think that's what brings a lot of people into this area because, we have strong community. We have safe communities, we're looking out for each other. And those are things that I really want to preserve, because growth is inevitable. And someone the other day told me, community doesn't depend on population. It doesn't matter what your population is. It depends on people.
Yeah.
And we have awesome people in Grantsville, and I want to be an advocate for them. I want to listen to them and represent them and, preserve and protect those things that we value.
Okay. Goals that you have as far as if when you get on city council, are there any goals you have, any drives you want to push or any objectives you want to meet?
Well, the three things that I've kind of focused on as I've been campaigning. The first is, of course, beneficial and planned growth. Like, I think we need to have a plan. We have a city plan, and a lot of work went into that. A lot of money went into that. And I think, we need to reevaluate that, make sure that that's meeting our vision for, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. We need to be looking farther into the future. And just, like, things that are important to me when it comes to growth is I honestly believe that there's room for open space, because I think that's part of what makes Grantsville unique and good. I have horses, I have animals, like I think we need to protect open fields and things like that. But also there's room for homes. There's a lot of land out there. There's room for homes, there's room for open space, and we also need to, like, and I know the other candidates have talked about this too, like parks and recreation. And, we need to incorporate all of that into our growth. And definitely, we don't want to be that tree that grows bigger on top and doesn't have the root system. And I think, we need to watch our infrastructure, like right now, Durfee Street has become a big commuter road. It wasn't designed for that. Clark Street's become a commuter road. It was made for herding sheep, It wasn't made for lots of traffic.
Yeah.
And so we need to, as we're getting these developments, like, okay, we've got the plan within the development, and the developer says we're going to do this, this, and this, but we also need to look at what other things are going to be impacted, and like sewage treatment, we're fine now, but now's the time to start planning, because we are going to need another treatment facility, and we're going to need, more police officers as we grow, if we want to maintain that safe community, and like at the last city council meeting, there was the police chief. He came and spoke because they were asking for, a wage increase and also another patrol officer position. And in speaking with police officers, like, like the chief saying, they used to jump at chances at overtime, but they're not doing that anymore because they're overworked. They've already worked all the overtime. They've already worked all the extra shifts. We don't want any more work.
It's cheaper to have more police than it is to pay the ones we have overtime, probably.
Yeah, like that's something to look at.
Might be. Sure. I don't know. It might be. I'd have to see what the absorption cost of the training, the insurance, all that other stuff. I'd have to see how that works in. But yeah, it might be. And I definitely think that those numbers need to be crunched.
Yeah.
You've got, of course, the police officer's insurance, but also the city's insurance for adding on another person. So
yeah.
And of course, the city does pay. Hopefully, usually they pay an insurance premium per police officer. So
yeah,
I think crunching those numbers would be a good idea. Or yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying don't get another police officer.
Well, and I think, because Grantsville's become kind of considered like a place to train, but not necessarily a place to stay. That's the costly part. Yeah, that's where the wages come in, because they're like, okay, I've got this training, but I'm going to get paid twice of what I'm getting paid here if I just go 30 miles from here.
Yeah, that's the costly part.
And I think Krista at the council meeting, I think it was her that she brought up, like, are there other factors, that come into play when you're trying to entice police officers to come and stay besides wages? Like me, I would want to work in Grantsville because it's more peaceful. I'd rather be a police officer in a peaceful town than
you want to find
like full of crime, so
yeah.
Or, like, I know we talk about affordable housing, that kind of thing, like, what are some of the other things that we can kind of offer to our police officers? So that's something that we need to be thinking about and figuring out. And like our fire department, at some point, I wonder if we're going to need a full-time fire department.
That's a big question. Tooele is substantially larger than Grantsville. and they haven't moved to a full-time fire department yet. And I'm wondering if that's a conscious decision or if there is a metric that a need gets met and then you move to that. And I
I don't
that's
know.
been brought up a few times. And I'm wondering where that healthy metric is.
Because what's Twilla's population right now?
Not sure off the top of my head.
I don't think it's more than 40 to 50 max.
1,000?
Yeah.
Wow, is it that big?
It used to be 30 a couple years ago.
Wow.
I
Wow.
would throw a few more thousand at it. So
All right. Well, Grantsville's I think 11,600, 11,700
Uh-huh.
right now.
I think it was like 12,
And it could be
1,268.
they
or
build
something
they build a new
roughly.
house every 7 minutes there.
Yeah, they do.
when I moved to Tooele County, I remember reading the stats about population being somewhere around 80,000. That was 2000.
Was that the county though?
Yes,
Yeah, the county.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so that's interesting. If Twill is still functioning well with a
On a volunteer.
so maybe that's not something we need to worry about right now. But
And
I don't know.
I know that's a big question, but I'm sure there's a metric somewhere, and
Yeah.
you don't want to get out over your toes on going full time if that would become a burden to the populace, and then
Yeah.
if it overburdens them, then it runs the populace out, and then the rest
Yeah.
that are left,
Yeah.
have to front that bill because firing people, eliminating jobs isn't something that's done overnight either.
Yeah.
So I would do a research on a metric, and I was wondering that the other night. That's been brought up a few times.
Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to be researched and just make sure we've got our ducks in a row. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
I definitely think that Grantsville should strive with the volunteer fire department they have. I would attack it in both ways. I would provide all the training I can and incentives like that. And then I would maybe I figure out how to, if people want to go to that training, they have to show they're dedicated to it. And I know that's a lot harder with a volunteer position.
yeah.
I think that can be done.
Yeah, I think those are good ideas. And that's also something that the police chief mentioned was, I think he mentioned it, having training facilities in Grantsville would also be,
And that
A
would
good
bring
thing.
money into Grantsville.
yeah, exactly. Like be able to bring officers to train here, right?
It would
So-
be one thing if we opened up a fire or police training facility, and then, like for the fire side, that could be populated with 2 full-time positions where they are full-time firefighters who, I would say they are full-time fire trainers who moonlight as firefighters.
Yeah. And then it could sustain itself
Yeah.
with
and,
the training.
And that's thinking outside the box. I like this, Chief, so far.
All right. Well, so that's growth. And the second thing, and with growth, like with parks and recreation, I threw this out on my Facebook page yesterday or today that, I think we need to use our parks better, more efficiently. For example, Hollywood Park, it's this huge park out there that's not really usable. We can't utilize it. Like, I coach soccer. It's not safe to play soccer on. It's not safe to play football on.
Yeah, I heard it hasn't been groomed.
Right. It's rough. And so I've also been meeting with these little cute skateboarders at Grantsville. They came to one of my Listen and Lemonade stands, and I think they originally came for the lemonade, but then they stayed and talked to me, and we've been working together because they're telling me, like the little skate park we have there at Cherry Street Park, I think they said you can have about 5 people on it safely at a time. And they're like, on any given day, there's 20 to 30 kids. And they're like, they're not making huge requests. They're just like, we would like, bigger skate park, maybe a water fountain, somewhere to sit. And so I
A
thought,
water fountain.
well, you know, like drink water.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I'm
like-
thinking a
Yeah.
decorative water fountain with some marble
Yeah,
statue of a
with
cherub
cherubs,
peeing
yes.
out of it or something.
You can mix
Yes.
both in. I say you put little
Let's-
styrofoam cups on a cherub peeing, and
There you go. That would be awesome. I think.
Because that'd be something I'd say when I was a kid, like to some representative. Oh, I want a water fountain. You know, it's like, come
Well,
on, really?
you know, with
Okay.
the cherubs, I
a
think
drinking water fountain. No.
bringing
Yeah.
culture to, you know, our
I think a
parks.
water fountain's a good idea.
But yeah, so they they you know, those are their requests. And you know, and I think, you know, we get after kids like, oh, kids are causing trouble, blah blah blah. But and you know, and I've talked to these kids, they're good kids, you know. I'm like, but when you got 5 kids that are skateboarding and 25 kids that are doing what? Like they're riding their skateboards on the park benches.
Waiting
they're,
their turn.
yeah, they're standing in line patiently waiting their turn, you know,
Yeah.
like kids do. But
Or the bigger ones are bullying out the smaller ones.
well, and they're like on the playground equipment, which is fine, but you know, like it's not designed for teenagers, it's designed for toddlers.
If you had a training facility for police, like one of these like German village type mock-ups, you could run the kids through with paintballs and airsoft too. I'm sure they'd love that.
Rent it out on the
You
weekends.
could have like, because this is my thing, we need to have more stuff for our youth to do. And like, would paintball totally fly in Grantsville? Yeah, like
I think it would.
airsoft, like totally would be.
I think what I'd do is how I would run it is I would partner with a civilian who wants to open one up. And then you say, okay, have a, you know, a partnership between him and the LEO offices. I would have it so that the civilian runs it the dominant of the time and law enforcement schedules time to utilize it. Of course, off the side, you have a live range. You don't want to mix a live range with a paintball park because
Probably not.
you get splash bullets. It'll cut a kid wide open and that'd end the party real quick.
Yeah.
But for them to do mock throughs and walkthroughs and maybe simunition training where that'd mix right in with the paintball field, and you could build something pretty realistic and do a lot, and then bring law enforcement out or offer it for law enforcement to come out and have
Their
a
trainings.
CQC village that they could train in, that when they're not using it, say on the weekends, the civilian guys using it, have the city, I don't know, offer something, but have him required for the maintenance, and then it's cut and dry.
Look at this, we got it all figured out. Perfect. Like, but no, like it could work. Like I love thinking outside the box, and you know, like, and they've been talking about, and this isn't just in Grantsville, but you know, nationwide, like we're having less and less people go into law enforcement, you know, for good reasons. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants that job anymore because, you know, you're not
It's
treated
not a
very
friendly
well.
job.
Yeah, it's not a friendly job. But, you know, like we need to be looking at ways to promote work in law enforcement, you know. So there's even opportunities there that if we had the training facility and the paintball and I mean,
A way for police officers to mentor the kids through a game of paintball or something.
Well, yeah,
like that.
you
That'd
could
be kind of fun.
you could have the end of the training week, the kids and the police officers mix with paintball guns.
that'd be a blast.
And,
Let's
and
do
it's
it.
not like we don't have the land out here to do something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we've got
Of course, that
space.
new subdivision chewed up Grantsville's range.
Yeah, it did. Like that's kind of where we used to go shooting, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not now. Not a good idea now. But and like well with that new subdivisions going out there by, you know, Walmart distribution, like because you're required to have X amount of green space. And I'm thinking, you know, we need to be more specific with developers. Like instead of just saying you need to have this much green space, we want a field that will work for football and soccer.
Yeah,
You build it, we'll maintain it, but this is what we're contracting with you.
you could also do it so that you've got a subdivision that runs a football field, and you've got a subdivision that runs a baseball field, and a
Yeah,
subdivision
exactly.
that maybe puts up some tennis courts and things like that, and that might relieve some of the pressure off of the tennis courts over by the high school
Yeah.
and things like that.
Well, and I also at Hollywood, I think we could put up some pickleball courts. I mean, there are some, but they don't have fences around them. So, like, I've never played pickleball, but I assume it's a lot like tennis. Like, you
Supposed
want
to
to
be
keep it
super
inside.
popular.
Yeah, well, it's the big thing now, and put some horseshoe pits, you know, for old timers like me. I don't know. But utilize that space. You know, right now it's just sitting there.
What about can vendors go to the park and set up a booth and sell their wares there?
Um,
I believe they have to get a permit,
Yeah, you
but
have
the
to have
Big
a
A's
permit.
run down there and they sell their Navajo tacos all the time.
yeah. So
And they
yeah, that's
usually
true.
try to
they set up
coordinate
if
with
you get a
events,
permit.
but I see them down there sometimes. I don't know that there's anything going on. I'll see them down there.
Yeah, because I'll be doing a soccer practice, and I'll be like,
I know.
Navajo tacos.
I know.
Like, I'm so
It'd be
excited.
good to have like a farmer's market area somewhere in Tooele and Grantsville.
I think we could, you know, because we have the Clark Farm, like, and I know that they've done some farmer markets. Like, maybe we work with them and, you know, even like food truck nights or whatever, you know, like
that would be fun to have the food trucks come in and compete.
yeah. So
Taco Man, the fish and chips
oh, I
truck,
can't forget Taco Man,
that waffle,
Waffle Love.
waffle truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be fun.
So, and I mean, like, there's just so many possibilities, and that's kind of going into like my second thing is I'd like to revitalize Main Street, and you know, get it cleaned up, make it more enticing for businesses, and just when you drive down Main Street, I want people to be like, wow, these guys are so proud of living here, you know, like I want it to be something where, you know, Friday nights, Saturday nights, like, I don't know if you ever cruise Maine.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, like,
Oh yeah, that's all we did.
like,
Well, we could even cruise State Street back then. So once in a while, if we had
Yeah.
extra gas.
yeah, on the special occasions. But,
Yeah.
you know, like, but I just want Main Street to be something like you go for a Friday night walk, you know, like, or like, and there's gathering places and just, I would love it. Like, here's my call out to like anyone who wants to start like a froyo or a Menchie's or some kind of frozen yogurt place.
So you're
do it
saying
in
you want
Grantsville.
frozen yogurt in Grantsville?
Yes.
Will they get a
Yes.
tax break?
You know what? If the yogurt's good, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Come
my
to me
husband says
first.
my husband says don't make jokes because people don't understand your sense of humor. So know that I was joking.
I would give a tax. I'd be specific about it. I'd say, hey, look, if I want that business here, I'll give it a tax break. Here, just come on in.
Well, you know, with Walmart distribution, like there were things done like that it was beneficial to Walmart and it was beneficial to our city.
Brought a
Because
lot
they-
of employment to the county.
Yeah, like it seems like they gave them a 5-year, like no tax.
So
You
there
know.
was a little coercion to get into Tooele from
Yeah.
The
Okay.
distribution, oh, I'm sure there was. I
You
can
know,
almost
but
guarantee it.
like that money that, you know, they didn't pay in taxes for, and this is, you know, I don't know the exact facts and numbers, but, you know, like it was more than earned back. You
Oh
know?
yeah, what percent of the county is employed over there? I'll bet we're
Oh, I don't
talking
even
2
know.
or 3% of the whole county.
Yeah.
We're talking 500 people. It's the single largest employer in the county outside of the. It's probably larger than the government right now.
I would say larger than government for
So,
sure.
and I'm okay with it. I feel good about
Yeah.
letting businesses have tax breaks.
I think
Yeah.
with the yogurt shop, judging by recent businesses that are killing it, I think drive-through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like Guzzle's working
Yeah,
really well.
Guzzle
Like,
is killing it. I mean, it is a rare day that you can drive in and not have to wait for 2 other cars, let alone park at Jay's and sit and wait.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so, you know, like just something that, you know, I'm like, you get your ice cream cone and there's benches, you hang out, you know, like, because we're a social community, we just are losing areas to socialize. So,
Yeah.
you know, and like I would love to have a diner. I don't know how Grantsville doesn't have a diner anymore. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, we have Casa, and Casa's great, but you need a Skyline, which is the diner that used to be
Breakfast.
there, you know, like breakfast, like hamburgers, and, you know, like just diner food, and like somewhere where like the old guys go in the morning and drink their coffee and shoot the bull. And
Right
you
now they
know,
go to Handy Corner, don't they?
is that the hangout?
I've seen them there and at Jay's.
Well, see, they need.
I almost run into the mayor every time I go to Jay's at 5 a.m.
That's funny. Yeah, so like, you know, like I just like to see some more of these things, and I think part of that is, you know, making Main Street
Yeah.
look better, you know? Like I kind of give that comparison that, you know, like as a mom, I get this, that there are times in your life where you've been wearing sweats for a few months, and like you just got to get the real clothes on again and look good to feel good, you know?
Have a
And-
human experience.
Yes, and
How
so
would you go about making it look better? What would be some of the, I guess, tickers on the agenda that would?
well, we actually have a beautification committee that has started now, and like some of the things that
So
you
if
know,
I go
we-
walking down Main Street, I can expect a committee to run up, start chasing me off,
yes,
shooing me off,
we're
and
like,
make me
get out of here.
go to Clark.
No, this committee, like we've talked about, like if you've ever been to Vernal, you know, the flowers. We talked about doing something like that. Like I'd like to see things like lavender, or you know, like good desert hardy flowers like Indian paintbrush, or you know, things like that. Sunflowers.
I recommend something that will actually give an environmental impact, like maybe a turtle farm.
A turtle farm.
A turtle
Of
farm.
course you do.
Do you like turtles?
I'm a little fond. Yeah. And I don't think we farm enough turtles around here, so I'm just saying.
Maybe out by the diving place they could.
Yeah.
Put in
It's
a
probably
turtle
not going to
farm.
be a diving place much longer. It's probably just going to be a
yeah,
concert.
Probably
and
need water.
Naked hippie party place. But
which
Yeah.
has its place too.
sure.
But and some of the other things, you know, like I loved what Twila did with the veteran banners.
No, yeah, that was.
And I know that's something that Mayor Marshall was looking into, but I would love it, and not just whoever can buy one for their veteran, but every veteran in Grantsville has a flag up there. And
Yeah.
that's going to take some work to make sure we include everybody, you know, because sometimes, you know, I've heard people say, well, you know, my husband wasn't, you know, like we didn't know about this, or, you know, anyway, we want to make sure everyone's included. And like, I just think it'd be cool to have,
I think it'd be easy just to, publicize it on the Facebook page
yeah,
every year before Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and then, come down if you were a veteran, come down and make sure you sign up, and
yeah,
or just on Facebook submit a picture and the years you were in.
yeah. And so like things like that.
Go back to the internet real quick. We'll check and see how that's doing.
Okay.
But yeah, keep talking.
All right.
Hit the plus.
And like, you know, like Christmas lights, like our Christmas lights are kind of having a hard time. And like, you know, just the little things that we can do, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
4th of July, you have those veteran flags, and then, you know, red, white, and blue banners.
Oh, yeah.
You know, anyway, I think there's a lot of cute things that we can do. And then, yeah, like get the goat heads. like
Oh, no.
that's a big thing for real.
Hold on a second. Get the goat heads.
You mean like extract them from the area, or?
Do you know what? I really think you can take goat heads and grind them up and make an indestructible street. Like, I think someone ought to look into it, because those things are indestructible. Like,
oh yeah.
I have been battling them in my pasture for a long time, and you can burn them, you can
Yep.
dig them up, like they just keep coming back. So I'm like, if
I've
we
heard
could
it's
grind them,
7 years of complete kill before they're gone.
yeah. And I haven't made it yet. Like
Yeah.
They're gonna kill me off. But yeah, I'm like, we need to improve our sidewalks. You know, like kids can't ride their bikes down the sidewalks
Yeah.
without getting a flat tire, and
Is that quite common down there with the goat heads?
yes, it is. And so, I mean, we invest a lot in that green goo that you put in your tires.
Oh yeah.
So they're pretty solid now. I don't think they have any air in them anymore. It's all green goo.
Concrete tires.
Yes. So, and I think we can do things like incentives for people to kind of clean up their yards. Like have contests, things like that. And just, I feel like as if we start to work on Main Street, it'll spread out,
Yeah.
like people will take more pride in their homes, and I'm not saying, because Grantsville is a beautiful place, I think, but I love sagebrush and I love dirt, I guess. So, there's a lot of things we can do.
Well,
So,
you drive down the streets in Sugar House and that kind of area up there, and you're like, wow, we're nothing like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah. I think the closest that we could even come close to comparing to would be like South Jordan or Harriman.
Yeah.
But they've got the spread out. They don't have a lot of built up areas, though they do have shopping that is, quite a bit more vast, but they don't have the, centers of town like you do in Sugar House and what have you. I
Yeah.
think we will get there. I imagine we'll see in this valley, we'll see kind of a downtown area pop up sometime that has 4 or 5 stories in it.
Well, I'm like, we got to work for what we want, right? So,
Yeah, I don't, not that we want that. I just think it's going to happen.
Well, what is the story limit from your perspective, Jolene? How far up should we be building at this point?
all right. Well, this is a tough one because I am a country girl. And so you start talking stories and I'm like, and here's the thing that, like, I've thought a lot about, because we do need, like, the apartments and, because right now it's what, 3? Is it 3 stories?
It's, what is it, 38 feet, I think.
Okay.
So I don't think it goes by stories, it goes by feet.
Okay. So, like, me personally, I'm okay with that because I think as we grow, I hope we can still hold on to a little bit of the rural qualities of Grantsville. And so I'm okay with those limits. I think we could better utilize some of our areas because, like, you have some places where, like, you'll have, like, trailer homes, and I have nothing against trailer homes. Like, there are beautiful trailer homes out there, but that are very dilapidated, and and you have this whole area that's just run down, and I always think this would work a lot better if we could put an apartment complex here, because you could get more people into that area.
You conserve a lot more water when you build up
Yeah.
than you do outwards.
Yeah, well, and I'm like, we can conserve more of our resources, and these people would have better living conditions also. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So that's kind of where I stand on that, as far as I'm okay
So
with
you
where
just
we're
have
at,
to
but-
shop for developers and get the developers to acquire the land to manage that.
Yeah, I just, and I think we need to, because I know we have ordinances, but maybe we need to be a little bit more enforcing on ordinances with landlords, because you have some areas that, are just run down. And I mean, no running water, no services. And
But are there any place, so would that be I can't imagine there's any landlords that allow that to stand.
but if it's on their property that they own and they're renting it out,
Yeah, but what if the tenant signs up for that service?
yeah, I mean,
The
then that's
landlord
thing,
wouldn't
it's-
even know.
Right. So there needs to be some sort of
I can't imagine
regulation.
there's a landlord that's renting a place that doesn't have water and sewer. If they are, they definitely slipped and fell back 150 years.
Yeah, because there are locations in Grantsville that are running like that.
Where the landlord is.
No, well, just
Um,
that they're not. But as a landlord, you need to be cognizant of what's happening.
Well,
you know,
I think that's one. I don't know,
I don't
because
know
if that's
either.
a deal that's made with either the city or a service provider
Mm-hmm.
and the person living there, I think the landlord is out of it.
Yeah,
I don't think they
that's
get
true.
any communication, nor are they really allowed to inquire on it.
Maybe. I mean, we rent a property and we get copies of the water bills and and if our
Now,
renters
do you
aren't
pay the
paying it,
water bill, or do
No.
they pay it?
if our renters don't pay it long enough, then it comes back to us.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, so I don't know. I don't know. Those are good questions.
Is that fair? That doesn't seem like a fair deal.
What?
So if I rent a place and don't pay my water bill, it goes back to the person who rented me the place.
That's where you get
I mean,
make sure you get good renters. I've never had a problem, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I don't know how all that works. I know my family rents some places out, but I've never got into the rental side of it. I'm just looking at it as if I make a business deal with something, I don't think anyone else should be involved with it.
yeah, that's true. Well, and I just like because when it comes to affordable housing, you know, and you're talking about apartments, and this is where you're getting pushback from some of the residents because, you know, you've got this person that's living on, you know, 5 acres or even 1 acre and you say, okay, we're going to put apartments right next to your property, and they're picturing these rundown falling apart apartments, right? And
I can
you know,
tell
and
you,
there's crime and all that, and those are
I
false
can-
notions.
I can tell you, down next to my dad's house, when they built those low rent apartments, I'm not speaking anything bad about them, but there was not a car window that wasn't shot out over 2 years.
Yeah,
And it
Yes.
popped in right after they started populating. Now that has calmed down now,
Mm-hmm.
thank God. But initially, a lot of car windows got shot out. And I'm not saying it was specifically them.
you mean
Yeah.
like shot with a gun?
Pellet gun.
Pellet gun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at, that little window behind your driver's window, that's a
Yeah,
$200 to $300
that's
piece
expensive.
of glass,
Mhm. Well, and that's the thing, because I mean, you have these notions, and you do have like where if you start piling people on top of each other, you know what I mean? You start cramming people. I think you do see crime rates start to go up.
Well,
just because
there's that, and there's also, I think it takes time before, say they build a brand new apartment complex, none of the people that move in there live anywhere around there. They feel no ownership over the neighborhood. And they first move in, and their kids first move in. There's no history and love for that neighborhood. Now that has died off, and maybe that is a history and love of that neighborhood. They've come to see that
become
as
a
theirs.
part of it.
Well, and to see it as theirs.
Yeah.
When you see it, like I see, the guy that lives down on the corner. Never talked to the guy, never met him, but he's a part of my neighborhood. So I
Yeah.
have care and concern for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I
exactly.
first moved in, my immediate concern was just the people that lived next door to me. Not that I was out. I always went 2 blocks away to shoot windows out of cars.
You never in your own neighborhood.
I am an honorable citizen.
Well, and that kind of goes to like my third thing is community. And I think we need to really work hard towards looking out for each other. And, like this person that's pushing back about, this apartment building coming here or whatever, like, take the chance to get to know those people and, start building bridges between old timers and newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's going to resolve a lot of the issues that come with growth. Like, I think I have my 3 C's that I think are the answer to most problems, and the one is communication.
Communication.
Oh, what were you gonna guess?
Cocaine, but go on.
No, that's the start of all problems.
Oh, that's the 4C.
That's the 4C that takes you the wrong way. But communication's a big thing, like, if we're communicating, we're going to have better trust. We're going to have, and especially, as a leader, you've got to be communicating with the community. And the second one is, now I forgot it. Oh no.
The 3Cs. Connection.
Because, and that goes to, like, you got to be connected with your neighbor, and connected with your neighborhood, and connected with your town. You know what I mean? Because like, if you've got those connections and you're like, this is home, not just this is an apartment to live in, this is somewhere I'm stuck, like, this is home.
Yeah.
Then that solves a lot of things.
This is home. This is my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Makes you care.
This is my community.
Yeah. And then that gives you that other C, of caring.
How do you think in this modern
Oh, did I guess a C?
Well, no, but I want to add that one now, because you said caring, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one too. Like,
Good
if you
job,
care.
Dave.
Yeah.
You didn't take
Like-
my C. Didn't like it at all.
Yeah, you didn't get it. You get a point.
Didn't
All
you?
right.
No, I'll drink to that.
How do we I think this day and age is getting complicated to meet a lot of those things. How do we drive that where everything's moved online? A lot of times kids don't play outside, and a lot of adults don't go outside, and a lot of interaction is done through the internet. And
They
it's
just
gone
stay home
virtual.
and do podcasts and
Yeah.
drink beer.
Yeah. So
Crazy kids.
how do we build that sense of community in that instance? What are some ideas that could be done?
Well, and I think, a big thing is celebrations. Now I'm on a C kick. Because, I mean, we already have awesome traditions that we do, like the sociable.
Yeah.
And, and I think it would be good to have a welcoming committee, or like, even like this little booklet you get when you move to Grantsville, and, you're someone from the welcoming committee's like, hey, let me tell you about the sociable. Like,
Yeah.
it's this awesome thing. Cause I know I have friends that, have lived here a few years, and they're like, what is the sociable,
Yeah.
But sociable honey festival, I just went to that a couple of weeks ago. Great celebration, baby animal days, car shows, 4th of July, like, we need to better, like, communicate to newcomers, especially, like, you don't want to be out of town on the 4th of July. You want to be here.
Yeah.
You know?
Grantsville's commonly had one of the best public non-paid for fireworks shows
Yeah.
in the state.
Yeah. And it's like, like, have you ever heard of the flag raising ceremony on the 4th of July? Not? Come on, neighbor, like, invite your neighbors to different celebrations, like,
Yeah.
come get pancakes at the breakfast on the 4th of July, go run a 5K.
I think we got to advertise all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that goes back to that communication. Like, I think we need to do more at getting the information out there and
I don't know if a
communicating.
5K will get me or Jared out there, but
No.
My
You know
son
what?
loved
I've got a business opportunity for you, Dave, but we'll talk about it at the end of this.
does it have to do with turtles?
Turtle racing.
Turtle
5K.
racing, I like it.
That's going to
We
be a
can bet
long
Bitcoin.
5K. Bitcoin.
A turtle 5K. See you next year.
Yep, you got me.
It'll go from July
got me
4th
at turtle.
to July 4th. But yeah, like, just different celebrations, and we're adding different celebrations now as we get newcomers with new ideas. Like, Farmtown just started up,
What's Farm Town?
Farmtown, well, it's like the corn maze that's going on in
Oh,
Grantsville
yes,
right now.
yes.
And they have all kinds of activities.
So it's right
They have
there kind of
pumpkins.
at the Matthews place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I've
like,
seen stuff going on there. I haven't stopped in.
and I'm not sure if it's been too, COVID has messed with my sense of time. So they may have been going for 5 or 6 years, but
Okay.
to me, I think it's 2 because COVID, like 2020, like
We got to
canceled
advertise that stuff. We
Yeah.
got to, you know what? I mean, we got a little bit of time left in October. I'll reach out to them, see if they want to throw together something we can advertise it on the
Yeah,
show. here.
definitely. Because like there's so many fun things to do there, and there's good food, and like they do a really good job with it. So that's something that's recent, and even the Clark Farm is relatively new.
Yeah.
Like with their activities and things like that. And I think as they grow, like there are going to be more activities there, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, maybe we work with the Clark Farm because we don't have a Grantsville days. I'm like, Stockton has Stockton days, Stansbury has Stansbury days, Twilla has Twilla days.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm like, we need a Grantsville days,
Lake Point has Lake Point
Yeah,
days in
so-
Stansbury.
So I'm like, and I know like 4th of July is kind of our Grantsville days, but that's like, it's like if your birthday's close to Christmas and you say
Yeah,
your birthday and
we could-
Christmas together. But
We could do a Grantsville days.
yeah, like I think we should do Grantsville
That'd be
days,
fun.
and like we could do it in conjunction with Honey Festival or something like that, and do hay rides and do tours of all the like historic places in Grantsville.
We had Trump parades last year. That was
yeah, we
pretty
didn't
cool.
have a lot of Trump parades.
I enjoyed that.
like that was
Those were the days.
that was very.
That was
often
before
in
gas was
Grantsville.
really
Yeah,
expensive.
before
Yeah.
when we could afford it.
Well,
But,
now
you know-
you can go park your vehicle, down your street about 20, 25 feet, and wave a flag. Don't idle, though.
Yeah, don't idle. Turn it off. But
Well,
yeah, there's lots of things.
I like that. And maybe something to kick off the summer.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of activities at the end of the summer.
Yeah, maybe something in June, like
You
some
know,
kind of Grantsville days.
beginning of summer days or an end of spring days.
Yeah, and you get your food trucks. you
Right
get
as soon as the
your-
kids get out of school,
Yeah,
everything else. And because, spread out the days.
yeah.
Yeah.
The celebrations make it a year-long party in Grantsville.
That'd be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Well, and I think too, like I was talking to a lady who just moved to Grantsville recently from California, and she was saying, I'm so fascinated. There's a alfalfa field next to my house, and she's like, I'm so fascinated of how that went from plants to like all of a sudden there's these square bells, and she's like, it was so crazy because she'd never seen anything like that before, and she's like, I would love to just learn how hay happens, and
I'm sure any one of those farmers needs someone to throw a couple
yeah, well,
bells.
that's what I was like, I'm sure they would love to give hands-on experience
Yeah, just-
on how to, but like Grantsville days, we could have like hay bell throwing contests, like, do some of our, kind of redneck fun.
Yeah.
You could have like free fishing at the reservoir, kind of different.
Yeah, reservoir fishing contest.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
That would be
and
a
you'd
lot of
want to do that early in the summer
Yeah.
because you try pulling it off late and you can only fit 3 people on the reservoir at any given time.
Yes. And as part of that, like maybe it's, we have reservoir cleanup day too. Everyone go out and clean up the reservoir because it
Tell
gets
you what,
pretty
you
messy.
get bagays up there, draw people into the food truck, and they might pick up a piece of garbage.
Yeah, they might.
It's a good
So
idea.
that is a good idea. So, like just and so talking to this lady, I was like, I think it would be cool because when I lived in South Jordan, they had what they called South Jordan University. And I'm a nerd, and so I signed up for it, and it was all like learning all about how local government works, and then they had different businesses that came in, and they had food people that catered different nights because it was like a 4-week program, and you just got a t-shirt and a little certificate that said you graduated from South Jordan University. But they had like the emergency preparedness guy came and freaked us out of all the terrible things that could happen, but also said this is what our plan is. And I was like, that would be cool if Grantsville, like maybe once a quarter or something, had workshops, like free workshops where, our hay guys come and tell what the process is for that, or have our sheep guys come and demonstrate shearing a sheep, or have Eddie from the butcher shop, come and tell you how to get good meat, like
I was gonna say,
marbling.
don't
no,
have
not
him come
slaughter
down and
something
show
in
what
front
he's
of everybody. No,
because there would be a complaint department 3 miles
no.
long.
Maybe just talk about like how to use marbling and that kind of thing to determine if it's a good steak.
Well, I think you remember when we were in high school, they had animal science.
Yes, I was in animal science.
And that was most of animal science was slaughtering and
Yes.
dressing out animals. And you won't find that in any other high school on earth.
Yeah.
Not even then.
I didn't realize it then, but yeah, like I'd go to lunch right after animal science and just gross out my friends. I'd be like, guess what we did? And then I pulled this guts out, anyway,
Yeah.
they loved me.
You brought a goat head with you?
Yeah.
Well, we used to, I wasn't very good in the classroom. So the only place I could shine was in there doing that. And, it was quite a bit of animal processing. We'll put it that way. And,
Yeah. It was a good
mostly
time. It
farm
was a good
stuff,
experience.
castrating dogs
Yeah,
and
we did that.
pigs and things
Shots.
like that. Yeah, local farmers would bring their animals down and we could provide any of the services they would do themselves. We would provide that as a kind of an on-the-job training for ourselves, except we could, they'd usually get 5 or 6 boys together and we could knock out 50 head of sheep where it would take him 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And he
It
would
was a
just
good
haul them
learning
down
experience.
and we'd, do all that.
It was like
Yeah.
a win-win because it helped the farmer and it,
Yeah, made
Taught
the
us.
teenage girls pass out right in the middle of
Do they
class.
still do that?
no,
No?
I don't think they
No,
do.
they
Do
shut
they?
that down when Mr. Hurst left, I think.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, the
But-
girl, we'd have a girl pass out in the, I guess you'd call it the lab,
The lab.
probably weekly, because there was something else going on that was rough.
I never passed out, just so you know.
Yeah,
I just
good.
want you to know that. But like, and even just like for newcomers that,
That should be your campaign slogan. I
Like-
never passed out.
I never passed out.
Well, I have passed out many times in my life, but not in animal science.
Not in animal science.
But yeah, like I just think if we provide more education, it will help that connection also. Because for example, like some people that aren't familiar with horses will panic when they see a horse laying down in a field. Like they'll think it's dead.
Yeah.
Or, but horses sometimes lay down to sleep. And so like little things like a workshop on horses and whatever, like different workshops, but we could also have businesses like come in and, kind of
I
tell
think
what they do. And
one of the things, if you want to accomplish something like that, is you need the place to do it. And I commonly have heartburn over the way our government is set up, that we build these great big schools that are empty. What would you say? They're empty every day. They're empty 60% of the time, and then add the summer in, so they're empty 78% of the time.
yeah.
And there's really no process that I'm aware of that we can go use the school classrooms.
That is right, and that's what I don't like. That's one of my. Will you let her out? She wants to go guard dog. That's one of my pieces of heartburn with the way our current government is set up, is that we are stripped of our tax money to build these schools that have to sit empty, that have nothing done with them, when because we've separated our education from the community
Yeah.
and put it in the hands of a national department, where I think that would be one of the most beneficial things to do for this nation, would be to bring education back to its local community, so that, the sociable's held at the school. That's because the school dominantly puts it on
Yeah.
and collects the profit from it and all that other stuff, which is good. But I think that could be managed on a community level and everything else. And yeah, some schools won't get the attention they absolutely need, per whatever. But
There
right
needs to be a
now,
little more collaboration, definitely.
there's a huge school half a block away from my house that's sitting empty right now. And it's not going to do anything until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And then come summertime, it's going to be empty.
Well, and that's the thing. You could be doing classes out of, like there.
Yeah.
That's definitely a resource that we got to figure out because
I'm
You know,
telling you,
like-
tear down the Federal Department of Education. Get rid of that and put the schools back in the community. There's no reason why Grantsville couldn't have some kind of adult furthering education in the local high school starting at 4 p.m.
yeah. Well, and I know, I think Mayor Marshall was one who he said, like we'd like to have Grantsville someday be the kind of community where, you're born in Grantsville, go to school in Grantsville, go to either trade school or, have extension courses,
Mm-hmm.
like go to school in Grantsville, college, whatever, and work in Grantsville, where you could live your whole life in Grantsville and not have to go
Have some
Outside of Grantsville.
permanent opportunities.
if you didn't want to. You know what I mean? Like have those resources available that,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is it's like, well, we can't afford to build a big building for doing, like Utah State Extension or whatever. We can't do that right now. But if you were to be able to just use a facility that's already there,
Man, she agrees. You heard it. You heard her herself.
and I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher.
Jolene
So-
says tear down the National Department of Education and bring it back to the community. I'll get the sign made up for you. We'll have
Oh
a banner.
man, I'm gonna be in so much trouble.
I like it.
Well, no, I just think it's a institution of perverse incentives. Anytime the nationals get involved with it, the federal, it ruins it. It's that's what it is. They only do a couple things right. And I think during a political run, when you're speaking about your run, I shouldn't mention the one thing they truly do right. But it's been said on other shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Jolene, what do you think about pods? Are you familiar with the concept?
About what?
The teacher pods?
Oh, so this is going a little out of the realm of city government, but I will tell you, I think it's a disservice to students as far as, like I work with Grantsville Elementary. I'm PTA president right now. So I work with them a lot. And it's difficult. Like elementary school kids are different than junior high, and I used to teach junior high and, like
That's in the mix right there. That's Denang in 68. That is teaching junior high.
oh, it's good times.
Oh,
But
I'm sure.
the pods are hard because it makes those classes a little isolated. And then you also run into things like at the elementary school when the kids are out to recess, like that's their time to be loud and have fun. And the pods are right there in the middle of recess.
I think what he's talking about with pods are like the homeschooling groups.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Sorry, you should have cut me off then and said,
Well, I was trying to just make the vision happen with
Okay.
what you were describing. It.
yeah. Okay. Well, like the homeschool groups and things. Like I think there's some merit. It's not for everyone. Like if like homeschool's your jam, then good for you. Like I have a degree in education and I would not homeschool my children because I need them to go to school and be at school for 8 hours. It's better that way.
Because your end of tour in middle school was over and you're done.
The pod concept, I think, compartmentalizes the education process with the division of labor concept as you're an English teacher, not a math teacher. So
Right.
you'd be teaming up with a math teacher. The math teacher would be teaming up with you, and then there'd be a social studies teacher, and you work that group of kids as a team, and you create your pod. And I always found the concept fascinating because it seems to cut away the communism of what's going on in our schools today. So, I wasn't sure if there was anything like that going on in Grantsville or not.
No, and I mean, I know we have like, we have community like homeschool
Groups.
co-ops, kind of thing. And, and like you have different parents that are going to use their talents wherever they may lie. The difficult thing with trying to kind of set up a pod, like you're saying, so I'm like, okay, my strength is English and I have a neighbor who's a math person. Like you can be very talented in your field of study, but you also have to have those teaching abilities.
Right. Connect and project. I
And
get
so that's kind of where we get, like, if you have a teacher in a public school, they've trained for that. And
I think in wealthier
for
areas,
the most part, they're good.
I think
you
in wealthier areas, there's a huge opportunity in something like that for teachers to set their own pay, their own hours and requirements, and step away from any restrictions that are laid on them by, teachers unions or the Department of Education. I don't know. I have mixed feelings. It's a new world where we're teaching school for the 1970s when there's the internet.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of innovations that, we need to move toward, because there are things, like you look at some high school, but I feel like, education does move slowly, but I feel like it is moving and progressing.
Yes, it does.
Like
It does.
I don't know if it's going in the right direction.
Sometimes it actually moves backwards.
sometimes, but you get those people that are spearheading towards, like I will say, going to your, like, what was your campaign that you're throwing for me, like to cancel
cancel the Department of Education.
because I would say, like there's a lot of things that I don't agree with, like when you look at it at a federal
I know.
level.
You know what? It
But-
might be quicker. We've come up on an hour. It might be quicker if we say the things we do agree with. Give me a minute.
I do. I think, like, especially education needs to be at a local level, like,
I think it does, and the property and the use of the structure.
Yeah.
I think that it is a disservice for the taxpayers to buy what in Grantsville, it's soon to be 5 large structures with a whole bunch of area in there that could be used for rec for the wealth of the whole community.
Yeah.
That at least 75% of the time, gross, sits idle and empty, and those people pay for it. And then on top of that, that Department of Education argues if someone says, hey, can we use a piece of that we bought?
Yeah. Well, and I know, like, I mean, there was, a little bit of the controversy with the football fields and things like that. And, like, I'm glad it was resolved. And, and that's where I'm like, there was a lot of different stories going on with that. But yeah, I'm glad it was resolved, but we need to plan for what our needs are. So we know that we might not always get to use that high school field. Like, it would be nice in a perfect world, like you're saying, Jared, to
God forbid
just
you pay your
use-
taxes to buy it.
but and
You know what?
there
I
needs to
think
be more.
On that note, you can only use Clark Street 6 hours a day for 8 months a year.
Don't say that; it might happen.
We'll just call it a deal. 6 hours a day, 8 months a year, and then it's got to be closed down.
Well, and
you know?
that's
And then
like,
we'll have a street sweeper out there.
there needs to be collaboration. There needs to be better
That's why it
collaboration.
needs to be given back to the communities, because that's schoolhouses used to, if you look historically, used to be used for meeting halls and everything else.
church.
Adult
School.
learning and things like that. Like Jared should be able to hold a class of dressing deer if he wants to in the school
Of
off hours.
Yeah, Dave can
Yeah.
teach a chocolate class.
You know, it's funny you say that. I've actually tried to use one of those buildings to do that, and they're just like, wow, that's a strange concept. The idea to push something like that forward just seemed to baffle the mind.
You got to
And
see if you ought to ask them like down at the TTC what it'd take, you know?
you can rent rooms down there. I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah.
I wonder if you got enough people to sign up that would want to do that. How to, you know,
Oh, I'm sure you could. That'd be
do
an
that,
easy one.
and then maybe rent the room. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked, and this show's about Jolene, not about
It's all about me.
yeah. But anyways, we've run over an hour, so
Okay.
give us your last spiel.
Close it out.
Sell the people.
Sell the people. You know, and this was one other thing I wanted to mention before I do my last spiel. Maybe it's part of my last spiel. Like, I think that it's important that a city council member represents the residents, right? And I think an important part of that is listening. And like during the primary elections, I was doing my lemonade and listen stands, and I want to find ways to incorporate that. And I was thinking, you know, like even partnering with you guys, or like that if Grantsville had like a podcast
Well,
where like before, let's, you know, like
No competition, please.
well,
no.
hold
Like,
hold that
or
thought.
if we come on your podcast,
you're
like
welcome.
before a city council meeting. So let's say a city council member is assigned a month, okay? And so before a city council meeting, they come on the podcast and they say, let's talk about some of the things that are on the agenda. And people, you get on, you make your comments, you ask your questions, let's get feedback, let's talk about it, let's have a conversation.
That offer is open
And then, you know,
anytime.
I think that would be great to better utilize, you know, because we are in a modern time, you know,
Yeah.
like we have social media, we have online resources. And, you know, like someone said something the other day, you know, because I'm like, well, how do people not know about this? Like, it's on the water bill. And people are like, well, we don't get a paper water bill. I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
like, okay, well, let's make that available online. Let's make that available, you know, still do the paper one for those who aren't online, but get a lot of avenues going on of communication. And I also, like, if I'm on the city council, like, I commit to being transparent. Like, I am an open book anyway. My husband's like, please quit posting so much information on Facebook. Like, that's who I am. And so, but, you know, that's my commitment, is after every meeting, I hope to post why I voted and what my thoughts were and that kind of thing. So, you know, where I stand at any given time.
You want to give the minutes of what just happened.
Yeah.
Basically. And
According
yeah,
Well,
to
not just
me.
the minutes.
According
the
to
minutes
me.
are up. You're
Yeah.
giving a justification.
Yeah. Or,
You're
you know,
laying up, I voted this way
taking
because
accountability
I
for my
feel
choices.
this. This is what I witnessed.
Yeah.
And that may open you up to criticism, but it's nice and honest. And if someone needs to speak to you about that afterwards, they can come out and say, look, here's where I think you may have, you know, misled yourself or something. But
Yeah.
it's a good, honest, and I like that approach.
Well, and that's, my husband told me, you know, he was like, when I decided to run, and he's been so supportive, but he was like, just picture half the people you know, and half the people you know are not going to like you at any given point when you're on city council, you know, because not everyone's going to agree with you at all times, you know. And I'm like, that's where my junior high experience comes in, because I'm like, I'm used to standing in front of people that don't like me. You know, like, that's what junior high is all about. No, but that's the thing, is I want people to feel like I'm the kind of person that they can come and talk to me and say, you know, I didn't agree with this. And then let's have a conversation.
Well, and they may change your mind, but
Yeah.
you're open to.
And that's the thing. I might.
You're
you
willing
know,
to talk to us about why you voted the way you did. And I wish our state representatives were more like that.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm chasing a particular state representative, Merrill Nelson, around about why he voted a certain way on HB 60, and it's like, man, you won't even give us the chance to talk.
Yeah.
So that you are saying this to us right now, I think, if you win, we'll take advantage of that.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, and obviously, and I've got some ideas in the works that I will get with all the cities about after this and
Okay.
figure out some finer details. But on a side note, I don't know if you've ever seen Apocalypse Now. Probably not. But anyways, they're in, I believe it's the Marines in Da Nang, and that's that little piece of land that separates North and South Vietnam, and it was under fire all the time. And there's the M79 grenade launcher guy that's just quiet and has that 1,000-yard stare, and that's how I picture middle school teachers. Doesn't say a word and just seen too much, and life just doesn't matter anymore.
Did not expect that's where you were going with that, but that's awesome.
That's what came to mind when you mentioned you're a
awesome.
middle
I
school
love
teacher.
It. I love it.
Yeah.
That's I've been in the trenches.
Surfer fight.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, it really, being a junior high teacher, it toughened me. But it also, like, I really learned that everyone does have a voice that needs to be heard. And that's how
Like that little Billy.
No, I loved
Shut up,
little Billy. Like, and that was the students that I taught, like, and that I connected with the most were the ones that really struggled. And but like the big thing, as a teacher, was that I learned to be an advocate. Like, I figured out these children need someone to stand up for them.
Yeah.
And that was my number one job. Like, teaching English, that was important, but being an advocate for these kids, that was the number one thing. And that's what I want to bring into city council. I want to be an advocate for Grantsville citizens, whether you're an old timer, a newcomer, like, there's no divisions anymore. We're all in this together. We're working together, like, whatever the job is. I hope I'm standing next to you with my sleeves rolled up and ready to jump in and do this thing, because I really believe that working together, we're going to take Grantsville into this amazing future, because I love my town. I love it. I always have. I always will. And I just think that there are amazing things in the future for Grantsville. So, vote Jolene.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Jolene Jenkins. Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Jolene.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the discussion. I hope to be talking with you again.
Oh yeah, definitely. We will be, well, and this, of course we want to make this open to, I guess, anybody who's we want to make this open to the community. We do not want to be the Department of Education with this podcast. All right. And we've got James. All right.
And
Are
Jolene,
there
just
questions?
before he goes off on that, even if you don't win, I hope that you stay involved in the community
Oh, definitely.
and take notes of what's going on.
Definitely.
And as a citizen, you have the right to ask us if you want to come on and talk about what's going on too.
Yeah.
Because you want to be involved. I understand that. I believe it or not, I'd love to be involved with politics if I weren't a government employee. But this is how I guess I decompress, is through a podcast. And that opportunity is there to anyone else who wants to talk about local politics. And if they have an idea or a complaint or a comment, take note. Come on, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
We want to talk about local stuff.
Oh yeah, we'll sit down and hash anything out. Really.
Okay.
We
Awesome.
we enjoy a good conversation, and that's mostly what this is. But here in about 15 minutes, we've got James Hanzelka coming on, Stansbury Greenbelt Service Agency trustee position. So he'll be on in about 15 minutes. We're excited to talk to him as well. We always want to thank our guests, and wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
Um,
Thanks.
Yeah, you've got Got some drive in you, and that's good.
Yeah, I'm a passionate person, so I need to, like, if I do get on city council, maybe work on my poker face so I'm not like I'm like like just being
Oh, let it out.
Think that'll
Let it out.
think that'll happen? Think you'll work on it?
no. I am who I am. That's
That's
you
right.
get what you get with me.
That's right. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.